Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. Got not a good show, but a great show planned for you all tonight. Al Borges will be back on the program. The author of Deny the Tiger. Let's see, what did he say? The story behind the undefeated SEC champion Auburn Tigers back in 2004, who denied a chance to win a national championship with the way things are now. And we got the 12-team playoff. That was definitely something of the past. So I'm going to ask him a little bit about the book now. It's been about a year since it originally came out. We'll talk a little college football as well. A little bit of I Told You So. Trey Lance has officially been moved to third on the depth chart. All types of trade rumors coming out of the San Francisco Bay Area. Touch on that a little bit. Corey Davis, former Tennessee Titan, Pickles. Former Tennessee Titan. He stepped away. Then they said he's retiring. Now they're saying he's just stepping away. So there's going to be some depth issues there with that Jets team to fulfill his spot. I'll talk about that and more. We'll go ahead and take our only break, and I'll be back here in 49 seconds, and we'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. I know Pickles and some other people just joined me. Again, Al Borges will be coming back on the program 30 minutes into the hour. Going to ask him a little bit about his book now that I've finally got a chance to read the thing. I've been very busy. For those of you that know me, I do the 40-hour week job. Now it's more than 40. It's more like here lately, it's been 48 to 56. Used to be 60 plus. Plus, I give you Sports Scope every night, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So Al Borges will be back in here. Going to ask him about the Jim Harbaugh stuff, the college playoff, conference realignment. Just to see what he's been up to. Always been a great guest. Man, he is a great guest and always a really good interview, Pickles. So a lot to look forward to there. 30 minutes past the hour. Okay, a lot of news coming out of New York Jetland. I mean, the Jets have got this big light on them it's a spotlight, Pickles. And this thing is 150 degrees right now. So I just got done watching the Hard Knocks from yesterday. They picked up, it's like 3 steps forward and then 1 step and a half back, right? They've officially signed Dalvin Cook. Today it was reported, multiple reports, ESPN included Dwayne Brown, the left tackle, the infamous the most important, infamous, ain't nothing wrong with the guy. The most important piece on that team, not named Aaron Rodgers right now, has been activated at left tackle. And now, who I thought, Corey Davis is a former Tennessee Titan. Number 5th pick overall, for those of you who've been watching this program for a number of years, I said that Corey Davis was an underachiever. He was always hurt, always had a hamstring injury with the Titans, showed a lot of flashes. Some games he would have 8, 9 catches, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Looked like he was a star in the making. Wore number 84 in college. Remind me, I think he went to the same school as Antonio Brown. Reminded me of Antonio Brown. Number 84 like Antonio Brown. And he was just not quite that player. He's got some personal issues now. He had signed, let me see what he signed. Signed a huge contract. And I was telling Titans fans here in Nashville that Corey Davis and who was the other guy? I can't remember. They lost a tight end too to the Patriots. I said both of those guys, both of those players, no love lost there. Neither one were very consistent. Both got huge concept. I think Jonnu Smith, right? Wasn't that the other one, Pickles, the tight end? Jonnu Smith, Patriots gave him a boatload of money. I said, more power to Jonnu Smith and the Patriots, more power to the New York Jets. I said this back in 21 and proven to be right. He signed a huge contract here with the let me see if I can get these numbers here. 3 years, $37.5 million contract. He missed 8 games. 8 games in 21 because of a growing injury that required surgery last year. Missed 4 games, the spring knee. In 2 seasons, he managed only 66 catches, 1,028 yards, 6 touchdowns. Like I said, Tennessee drafted him with the 5th overall pick in 2017. And I thought maybe that was probably a good pick at the time. And then even later on than that night, weeks and the season leading after that, I thought, man, what a bad pick. There's so many other good picks that the Titans, including guys like T.J. Watt, who was an all-pro level defensive player of the year, drafted with the Steelers, the Titans could have got. But you know what? That being said, I hope the best for the guy. He's supposedly stepping away. This sounds a little bit like Calvin Ridley, the mental health issue deal where he's stepping away from football for a little while. If it's me, if it's that, or if you just, but I was reading that, he'd been talking about this for a little while. I would have recommended some kind of counseling, finish up that contract, get that money, because this kind of money is not always available for you young men out here. Don't take money for granted. If you can go out and get it and get an opportunity to play with a guy like an Aaron Rodgers, it's really foolish now. But Rich Kabani, and I'm sure I'm butchering this guy's name. He puts this out on the X app here, which is formerly known as Twitter. Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, another guy who's never available, Mecole Hardman, who was inconsistent with a very fast guy, but he was inconsistent with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you're looking at guys like Xavier Gipson, Jason Brownlee, and Irvin Charles, a lot of players I've never heard of. Wilson and Lazard are pretty solid. They're going to need some help there at the wide receiver position there. But again, I was watching Hard Knocks today, and just what I thought it was, Pickles. You could see Aaron Rodgers as soon as Dalvin Cook signs. Now Breece Hall, he's also been taken off of the PUP list. As soon as he comes in there, Aaron Rodgers throwing little screen passes. Also, I was watching him in practice on Hard Knocks throw those little in routes, Pickles, where it's like 2 yards, kind of like with Garrett Wilson, kind of like what he would do, those routes that he would do with Devontae Adams at the goal line. They look dangerous, but he's comfortable doing it, throwing the ball to the wide receiver just right at the line of scrimmage, almost like a screen pass. A shot player, whatnot. That's why, because he doesn't trust this offensive line to hold up for him to get that ball down the field. And Randall Cobb was saying, listen, he will not throw you the ball if you're not running the right routes. That was on Hard Knocks. It was taped over the weekend. And now Corey Davis has stepped away from the team. All that being said, folks, I made some notes here of some players that they could possibly pick up here that's still out there. Listen, Kenny Golladay got a very bad he got off to a bad start with the Giants, and that's the same stadium. And he never could get right. But Rodgers did get to see this guy twice a year for many of years, including he made a Pro Bowl in 2019. 29-year-old Kenny Golladay. Now, he may be having a crappy attitude and stop working. A lot of times these guys, they get that second contract and they totally lose motivation to work, And I love this guy, Robert Saleh, might not ever coach again. He might not ever be a head coach. This whole thing could blow up. But I tell you what I do like about Robert Saleh. He opened up the practice with a nice little segment here on the levels of competitors. He says you have the, let's see, what did he say here? You have the survivors, the survivor level. The survivors are guys do just a little bit not to get fired. I work with many survivors over the years. He calls that, there's 4 levels of competitors. Survival level is just a little bit not to get fired. Just come in right at 8:59 when you're supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. They do just enough not to get fired. They call out just enough not to get fired. And those are that. And then he mentioned who was the other ones here? Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to make sure I get this right. Then he says, then you have your contenders. They're motivated by money and external things. So the contenders level is what a lot of guys in the NFL are. And see, Carlos says he's a risky play. Maybe Galladay's a contender where he's got his money. He's motivated. He was motivated to get that second contract, and then he just kind of give up. Get the second. So that may be a Corey Davis or a Kenny Golladay type, for example. And then he says you've got your so you got your contenders, then you got your competitors. These guys are always the competitor level of competitors. That's what he's mentioned. These guys, they're internally motivated regardless of the money situation. Whether they're third string, starter, Hall of Fame level, they're always motivated. The competitor level, right? Then he says, then there's the commanders. Those are the guys that are the Ray Lewis type of guys. Those are the guys who not only are they motivated and can kick butt and can play at a high Hall of Fame level, but they can bring others with them. Those are the guys like a Michael Jordan, like a Magic Johnson type, like a Ray Lewis, a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, those type of guys. So I thought that was pretty good. But a lot of NFL players, they motivated by that money. And a lot of them particularly are wide receivers in this league. So what could they do? My guess is I would try Jarvis Landry, take him in for a workout. I would bring a T.Y. Hilton in, a veteran like a T.Y. Hilton, and maybe a Kenny Golladay. Pro Football Network mentioned players like Julio Jones and Sammy Watkins. Those guys, either Julio can't get open no more, and Sammy is hurt all the time. Now, I noticed that Jarvis Landry, very good slot guy, had his injury problems as well. So it's probably T.Y. Well, they may work out a trade for a player per se. I don't think they will. But if you feel like you have to trade for a player, I don't think they do at this point. I would probably try for Landry, but it would be between Landry and T.Y. Hilton. I would have to get a feel for. It wouldn't take long to figure out what the deal is with Kenny Golladay, But Galladay's probably in the best physical shape. He's 29 years old, got that big body. He would probably fit in pretty well, but you got to know where his head's at. You got to know where his head. It would be between those three, and I may roll with T.Y. Hilton because I know he's pretty safe. So, but if you had to trade, who's got the deepest wide receiver room in the league? Probably the LA Chargers. I would maybe try to work out something for one of their wide receivers. Maybe this guy, I think his name's Josh Palmer, somebody like that. They've got a pretty deep wide receiver room. We'll see how that would work out. So it's not the end of the world, but it is something. They are thin now at the wide receiver group. I do think that is something that they should look into. But the best news is Dwayne Brown's activated, and we're basically 2 weeks and 3 days. 2 weeks and 3 days from for the start of the season. Next week is the college football season, and of course, technically a week from Thursday, Detroit and Kansas City play. So there's options there. Okay. All right. Carlos, we talked about Trey Lance. I've talked about him ad nauseum. Depth chart came out today. He's third string. He walked away from the team. He stepped away from the team today. And, the lowest moment in one person's life usually is the biggest learning experience and life reflection and growth. That's the note that I wrote here. These guys that make it to the NFL, that are drafted really high, we have to look at it from a standpoint of these guys were probably the top player in their high school. They were probably the big dog in college. And now being the third pick just 2 years ago, two full seasons ago in 2021, Trey Lance is probably shattered, devastated right now. And he has stepped away from the team. As I mentioned, Sam Darnold fits more of what Kyle Shanahan's system is. I've talked about this with the Mad New Yorker before on previous programs. I think it was last week, that maybe Kyle Shanahan, the next step in his career should be to develop more of an Andy Reid-like approach. I made that note that maybe he should take an Andy Reid-like approach with a guy like where he felt like a West Coast offense was more suitable for Donovan McNabb. He did some read option stuff with the guy like a Michael Vick per se, and then with the Patrick Mahomes, he implemented more shot plays because of the strength of his arm, and he utilized the strengths of his player instead of making the player fit his system. Develop my system around the player, and it simply just didn't work out with Lance. But also, one former player, it was James Jones, and I guess he's some kind of analyst now, used to play with the Packers, says that he saw him in practice, and he's saying that the guy's still dropping the snap here, snapping the ball from center. So I hear he's a good worker. Maybe he's simply so raw out of college that he still needs some more growing to do. Okay. There's several reports here that came out about this over the springtime that Diana Rossini, formerly of ESPN, now she's with The Athletic here, She reported on this, and plus this is widely reported that at the scouting compound, that was chatter regarding possible trade with the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. The Vikings and Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance swapping spots. Now the Vikings have no arrangement with Cousins beyond this season, per se. They have no arrangement with Kirk Cousins beyond this season. And, of course, that deal never got done, per se. And then she also said in a nugget here, what else did she say, Donna? She said just a thought of value. This is a note out of Nashville. She said Trey Lance then and now, Ran Carthon, who's now the new general manager. Ron Carthon is the new general manager of the Tennessee Titans, says that who was with the 49ers staff when they drafted Trey, fast forward to this offseason, and Carthon took over the GM from the Titans team in the market for a young quarterback. The Titans completely passed on a trade for Lance, had no interest. Carthon knew what San Francisco knew. So maybe there's some kind of issue here. What I've read is he doesn't have good mechanics, and he's not, quote, athletic as the scouts and people thought he was. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that, man. Sometimes your biggest failures in life is it leads to your biggest reflection in life. You look back and say, okay, this really hurts bad, but this got my attention. You know, I've got Al Borges coming on, and former college football coach. And I think about a guy like Steve Spurrier. Been watching a lot of college football stuff here lately. I saw the Johnny Manziel doc. I saw the Florida Gators Urban Meyer doc, and Steve Spurrier, and one of the most humiliating losses in his career, I want to say was in the 1995 national championship game against Nebraska, where they beat them like 65-14. And he realized then and there, it just can't be the fun and gun offense. We got to get stops on this team. We've got to get aggressive on defense. We've got to get stops. It's not about that. We embarrassed our organization. We embarrassed the Southeastern Conference, this proud conference. So what does he do? He goes out and get a defensive coordinator named Bob Stoops, and they start bringing in players like Javon Curse, who later went on to the Tennessee Titans. And we know what happened the next year. They beat Florida State and won the national championship. You know, some of your biggest attributes come from some of your lowest moments in life, guys, or most hurtful moments. You know, Mike Westhoff talked about he's meeting this coach and he's in for a job opportunity. The coach sees another coach and this really nice hotel bar, and they start drinking. And when they're about to do their interview, the guy shuts the door after waiting for him for hours in the guy's face here, Mike Westhoff's face. And he says that, you know, summarizing, I just want to beat the crap out of that guy if I can go back in time. He meets another coach at that hotel and later gives him a job in the NFL that really catapulted his career out of one of his lowest moments. And I felt his pain when I read that, because I've had some moments like that in his book, Mike Westhoff, which I may try to get on the program here in the next week or so. But it's going to be tough because he's a current coordinator. He's the special teams coach for the Denver Broncos. So, but, you know, Trey Lance, you know, we talked about this before, Carlos. You know, if the guy can't make it here, if these guys really want to play, if you really want to play, you know, if your desire to get better, if you're a commander type of personality or the raw competitor type of personality, then you want to play and get better just to get better. You either play for the USFL if they're out next year, if they're still alive, the XFL if they're still alive, or you go to Canada. Players used to do, I want to say Warren Moon went to Canada. I think Steve Young went to one of these semi-pro leagues, if I'm not mistaken. Drew Maddox played for the Steelers for a while. He played in the first XFL, if I'm not mistaken, if that's his name. He is a guy that played with the Steelers for a few years up until the great Ben Roethlisberger was drafted. We used to have the NFL Europe, you know. How proud are you? How bad do you want it? You know, how bad do you want it? Missing out on our complimentary. That's right, Carlos. That's right, man. Steve Spurrier. Pickle says he was great at Florida. Yeah, he was great at Florida. And but one of his humiliating times was getting just stomped in the ground by that Tommy Frazier led Nebraska team. Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips, remember that really good running back? And he kind of went crazy there at the end too. Turned out to be a tragedy, but that Cornhusker team was off the hook, you know. And he made the proper adjustments, and then of course they came back very strong the next year. So Trey Lance, it remains to be seen. So apparently they're also in other news while we're waiting for Al Borges to come on here. So Spot Track, here's another note on Trey Lance. So the new team would get $940,000 against their cap, which is a total steal if they took in Trey Lance this year. And then next year they would owe Trey Lance about $5 million. You can't beat that for a quarterback. And, of course, the 49ers would acquire $8.3 million in dead cap money, but they've got Brock Purdy on a rookie contract. They're not paying their other quarterback there, Donald or whatever. They're not paying him any money, the second string guy. And Brock Purdy, he's 7th round pick in his second year as well. So they're going to be okay. Now I mentioned that they still have Nick Bosa out there. It's in the holdout. I'm still predicting that Bosa will get signed with that 49er team. We mentioned Jonathan Taylor yesterday. We mentioned Jonathan Taylor yesterday. I did read from a reporter here with the Barry Jackson here. I think he's with the Miami Dade paper or whatever. He says talks with he's out of Miami area. He said talks with Miami and the Colts are ongoing. Whether Miami is willing to meet the Colts' demands must play out. But the Dolphins trying to get a deal done. Apparently 6 teams have called about Taylor. Dolphins are one of the ones pursuing him, as we reported today. So that remains to be seen. I did not think they would get that far with Jonathan Taylor, but that means no, never mind, because one of my favorite guests I just seen pop up from backstage, Al Borges. Speaking of Michigan, how you doing, man?
What's up, Robert? How you doing, man? I've talked to you like forever. I mean, it's been like a
you know years. What? The busier you are, the faster time goes by, my friend. And I'm sure it's something you can agree with. You're always busy. I just finished your book a few hours ago. Can I admit I just finished it a few hours ago?
That's fine. I don't care. Hey, as long as you buy it, you can use it for a door jam.
By the way, everybody, the Nye the Tiger is still available on Amazon, and now it's on sale $24.63 last time I checked it, Coach.
Yeah, they dropped the price. Thank God. I mean,
yeah.
I'll say this: it wasn't selling bad. I was happy, but I think it had done better had it not been so expensive initially. But now it's now that it's at a reasonable price, it's doing better.
My audience loves you, man. This is a good book. Now, I'll say this: I love the hardback here. I love the Auburn coloring with the blue and orange. So if anybody's got this book on your coffee table in the South and you like football and you've got company, I mean, what a conversation starter that would be, you know? And some funny stories. You know, something you may have told me this last couple of times we talked, but I didn't know your son was born in 2004, the year this book was talking about. How's your son doing, man?
He's doing great. Yeah, he's doing great. Yeah, he's born in January 05.
Oh, okay.
He just kind of missed it. But he's seen so much of the rest of my career. It was kind of cool, but that was kind of the pinnacle. And he has to listen to me reminisce about it to really know, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's neat.
Yeah. So you basically know late during that season, from what I understand, y'all were getting all the logistics figured out.
Yeah.
As far as, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it was a neat deal. And you know what it is, Robert? It's something that helps establish my legacy with Auburn, which was really, like I said, kind of the pinnacle of my career. And it was something for the fans, you know, because it was something I think I told you before I didn't plan on it. I mean, I really didn't. But the response when I went back there was so good that I couldn't help myself. So,
yeah. So let me see. I wrote down some questions here. How's the son doing? Okay. Okay. Read the book. By the way, folks, you can look up these games. I don't know if you've done this. You may have on YouTube. Just about everyone in full. You can watch these games in full. What was the locker room's reaction? You beat Georgia late in the season. They were the number 5 team in the country, Mark Richt coach team. And I would have thought, looking back on it, you should have jumped Oklahoma, man. You beat them 24-6. What was the locker room's reaction when you found out you did not jump Oklahoma?
Yeah, that was a little disappointing because I think we thought we would. You know, they didn't lose. And that was the thing that really kind of screwed us up is almost never, maybe never, does 1 and 2 go wire to wire undefeated. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, so eventually we figured there'd be a little snafu in there by somebody, you know, hopefully not us, but it never happened. So we were at the mercy of the BCS, which, you know, I think was the impetus for why we have what we have today. I really believe that. But it was disappointing. Now, we still held out hope that something might happen. Now, you'll find this interesting, Robert, is I didn't put this in the book, but one of my players called me and said, Coach, you left something out that I think was relevant. And I think would have been a good story because I want to find stories. So you could tell by the book. I'm trying to find, I'm reflecting back and then talking to people, trying to get stories. And one I missed out on was when we were in the SEC championship game. We were playing Tennessee. We were beating the brakes off them. I think it was like, I don't know, 28-7 or something. And they made an announcement on the PA that SC had just beaten UCLA, and UCLA was ahead because we were thinking, oh, there's your opening, right? There it is.
Yeah.
And they've been announcing the scores, and we're holding out hope. Hey, there it is. That's the snafu. That's going to be they announced that SC beat them, and Tennessee instantly scored 3 touchdowns right off the top.
I remember that part in the book.
Oh yeah, no.
As a fan of Tennessee, then I did not zone on the SEC championship game because you beat the brakes off of us in the first game at 31-3 at halftime.
Yeah. But this one, I thought we were going to do it again. We were scoring faster than we did the first game. But something, just the air came out of the guy's balloon for a while. Now we got it back. It turned out okay, but the air kind of came out of the balloon for a little while, and you could sense it on the sideline. But it would have been a great lead-in for another story at that point that I wish I'd have told. But I wish I had talked to that player a year earlier. But I thought that was interesting, you know. But it was a little bit of a roller coaster, you know. It wasn't a roller coaster the way we were playing. We played well the whole season, but because you're at the mercy of people's judgment rather than the scoreboard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep winning, you're at their mercy. You lose, it makes the decision easy. But and that made it hard. And it was at the end, we had, you know, the satisfaction of knowing that we didn't lose a game, but we sure as heck would have liked the opportunity to play for it all.
Yeah. Now, I didn't see this in a book, but I heard this at the time. Did you guys make championship rings for the players anyways?
Oh, yeah. Tuberville did. Tuberville's funny. He says, I'll take any national championship we can get. If Golf Digest names us national champions, we're taking it. And Golf Digest did, so he made a ring.
Nice. I love that, man. I really do. And I'm not trying to make you feel good. I'm just telling you the truth. Now, I think you mentioned this the other time we talked. You beat Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher at LSU. Then 2 years later, it wasn't like, for the audience here, that you were bad after Ronnie Brown and Jason and everybody, Cadillac, all went to the NFL. You guys were a 2-loss team. Then you turn around and beat Urban Meyer. At the time, did you think, man, these guys are special? These are some of the greatest coaches. Or did you just think, you know what, it's just another win. They're good. I don't think they're going to be great.
No, I think we had a way when I was at Auburn of rising to the occasion for big games. We just did. We were, especially on the road. We were an amazing road team. And we had beaten, we had the great 04 season. But the next year, we were 11-2, I think. 11-2.
Yeah.
And our numbers were better offensively than they were with the other guys, which was, I thought, pretty good. New quarterback, different. Everybody was different, but our offense numbers were actually better. And we beat Georgia there on the road, big game. I mean, crazy game, crazy. Yeah. And then we beat Alabama at home, and we played really good. We sacked Brody Croyle like 12 times or something.
And you had a pretty good defensive coordinator for the audience here, Gene Chizik.
Yeah, that's my first. Chiz was good. Yeah, and we had a great working relationship. So as we went through, then the next year we beat Florida at home, and Florida won the national championship. We were the only game they lost.
Number 2 ranked team in the country. Tell me what was the hype going up to that? They were starting to get cocky at that point. God, I hated Florida, man. What did you tell your guys? Y'all beat them by 10.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They were number 2 in the country at the time.
Oh, and ended up number 1.
Yeah,
but we had an incredible crowd that night. I mean, it was amazing. It's the loudest that I've ever been in a stadium. The loudest, and it ignited. And it was frustrating offensively. We were moving the ball, controlling the ball. I think they ran like 46 plays. We ran like 76 plays.
Oh, wow. Well, you remember all the details, huh?
Oh, God. We were getting down there, and we couldn't punch it in. We kept having to kick field goals, which drives me nuts. But that kept us in the game. Defense was playing good enough. Unlike Tebow, Chris Leak was their quarterback, who was a damn good quarterback. But he wasn't as mobile as Tebow. And our pass rushers against an immobile quarterback or less than we had Quentin Groves and Stanley McClover, and good luck on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
They struggled with our pass rushers and our blitz. And then what really ignited the whole thing is we blocked a punt. The guy bobbled the punt. Trey Smith blocked it and fell on it, or just actually picked it up and ran it. Jumped into the end zone is what happened. And the place went crazy. I mean, that was it. That was it. I mean, our fans kind of dragged us across the finish line at the end to win it. But what a football game. And then the next year, Robert, my last year there, we went to Florida after getting drilled. We lost the game. Who did we lose? I think we lost to Arkansas. Everybody had us dead to rights. We were finished.
They had some good running backs. Didn't they have like Felix Jones or somebody?
Arkansas
played for the Cowboys.
Yeah, they were real. Yeah. But we went to Florida. Tebow was now the starter, and we beat Florida in Florida when nobody gave us a chance. Nobody thought, we're going to kill it. But we kicked a field goal on the last play of the game and won that game. I think we beat. I think I put this in the book, but I'll make sure I'm right. I think we beat 10 top 10 teams at one time or another during my tenure, and that's just not done very often. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. It was a hell of a run, and
do you have a single most euphoric moment?
Georgia. You don't even have.
Okay.
04? my first year at Auburn, the Georgia game was without question the most.
Yeah.
We played so well. We beat them 24-6, but we beat them worse than that. I mean, they just were never in a game.
I went back and watched it last weekend, Coach. It's on YouTube.
We got them good. I mean, and the kids executed. We made some clutch third downs. It was just
off that bye week. And David Pollock, he was a big time pro, man.
He was a beast.
Before he broke his neck, you know.
Yeah, he was a beast. He was a pain, man. I mean, because
David Green, you kept him in check. That quarterback they had, because he used to beat the crap out of Tennessee.
He beat everybody.
He got the best of them one year, and that was it.
Yeah, his college record was unbelievable. He just didn't lose very many games. And then Pollock was not just an athletic kid; he was really smart.
Yeah,
he was a hard guy to fool. You had to do some things to keep him loose, or he could dominate. You know, he had that type of ability. But they had a lot of guys. They had Thomas Davis. They had a kid named Blue. They had inside linebacker. His name is
Davis. Played like 13 years in the pros. And Carlos brings up my audience, by the way. Then they have Darren McFadden on that Arkansas team.
Yeah, had Darren McFadden and Felix Jones both, and the year I'm talking about, I think Mitch Mustaine was their quarterback.
Oh yeah,
they were good. They ran the football, took a lot of pressure off the quarterback, played good defense, but they were tough. I mean, they were really tough. So, it's typical SEC schedule, man. There were no very many breaks.
Okay, do you have Netflix, by the way?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Have you been watching any of these sports documentaries?
No, but I watched Reggie Jackson. I'm a baseball nut, so I watched Reggie Jackson, which was good. Which one are you thinking?
Johnny Manziel. That was pretty good. But the Florida one, the Swamp Kings. They mentioned your Auburn game. By the way.
I gotta watch that. Yeah,
I gotta watch that. It just came out Tuesday. I watched the whole thing while I'm preparing for the program the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And Urban Meyer talks about his anxiety towards the end, panic attacks. He was really done after year 4. He thought he had a heart attack. And he's looking at this guy Saban. He's thinking, man, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what I get. That guy wants it more than me, and I'm giving it everything I got, and this may kill me. When you get let go a few years later at Auburn, was part of you kind of a sense of relief? Because it seems like you're living and dying with every play, man, from an emotional standpoint.
There's no doubt about that, but I can't say it was a relief. But
because the pressure is unbelievable, right?
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny?
Pickles says anxiety.
I never felt pressure. I can't say I never felt pressure, but I never internalized it that much. Okay. I never really let it get to me that much. And I think that comes with first of all, partly your personality. Okay. Some of that different personalities struggle with it more than other personalities do. I think people have proven that. But I try to take a lot of pride in maintaining composure, demonstrating leadership during the week, even more than on game day, so that you could put a plan together that was comprehensive and functional. And knowing that by the time you hit Thursday or Friday, that the hay was kind of in the barn and there was no reason. I didn't get nervous anymore. When I was younger, I used to get so nervous before the game.
You ever throw up for a game?
No.
Okay.
I never did any of that because I just didn't. After a while, I just felt like I did all I could to prep. And whatever's going to happen, I got to do a good job of calling the game and all that, all the game management and all that. But I didn't really sweat it that much. I mean, and then now sometimes during a game, you got these clutch, the white knucklers, the fourth and all that. You get a little uptight, and there's a relief every time you convert, and you're disappointed when you don't. And so I talked about some of that in the book. Yeah,
you described it as the duck is really cool, but really below he's paddling.
He's paddling his ass. But I always wanted the perception of being cool,
Yeah.
I didn't want to look like
that,
a control coach that's screaming his butt. I learned a lot from watching coaches over the years. And two coaches that stand out to me, Robert, were Tom Landry and Bill Walsh. Okay. And both those guys were play callers and head coaches. Okay. And had to manage the game, make the decisions on when to punt and, when to rush the punt and all that. But neither one of them, they may have been sweating bullets and they might have been paddling like hell, but on the top, they looked like they were cool, calm, and collective. And that message was sent to their players. They saw how they handled, and I think that made a big difference in clutch situations.
Yeah, that is a great approach to have instead of being like, and I love Peyton Manning, but man, in big games, he's everybody panic, save yourself.
I told Peyton one time, I go, Peyton, I think you mainline football. I said, you are nuts. And I thought I was a football nut, but I think you might be even worse. I mean, he loves it. I mean, he just loves it. He can't get enough of it. And couldn't get
you
enough
coached against his younger brother. Did you coach?
No, I coached against him. I didn't coach it. I missed Eli. But
you missed Eli. Okay.
I missed Eli, but I coached against Peyton in 96 and 97.
UCLA, right?
UCLA, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I got to know him. I got to know him later. I went to see David Cutcliffe. I'd met him at the Broyles Award, and I went to Ole Miss just to visit there. Our staff went to visit, and Peyton was there talking to Eli when Eli was a freshman. So I met him back then, and we started talking. We put a film on, and once you put a film on with Peyton, you're going to be there for a while. And then I saw him later on with the Colts, and he's always been pretty great. I haven't talked to him in a while. Really good football guy and a good guy.
Well, I see that Michigan logo on the background. What do you think about this suspension with Jim Harbaugh? What's your thoughts on this thing, man?
Somebody else asked me that. I don't know all the details. I'm going to get them pretty soon, though, because I do a podcast with Sam Webb here with the flagship station. And I'm going back doing that probably again next week. And I'm going to find out more about it. But right now, I haven't been into it. So I don't really know. But there's more than meets the eye. Let's just say that. If he imposed a sentence kind of on himself after they had originally done it, right?
Yeah.
There's something they're trying to circumvent, something they're not, I'm not saying they're sneaky or anything. I'm just saying they're trying to impose something on them so that the penalty later won't be as bad. That's my guess. Yeah. What they did, as they said this it's more than a cheeseburger, right? There has to be more than a cheeseburger. Yeah. So, I don't know the details. I'm not pointing any fingers, and I don't know, but I think I'm going to find out, and I'm going to have a little better idea next time.
It feels like doing a court analogy. Maybe he should have took the 4-game. It's kind of like the plea bargain, but if it goes to trial, it could be more. That's what I'm getting, Coach.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think that's why he did what he did. I think that's what he did. He said, I will impose it on myself in hopes that if in fact all the facts come out, that he'll be a little more merciful. So, but I don't know that. I really don't. But we'll see. Only time I'll bear that one out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I had to ask you about that. And another little funny nugget. I was always wondering why Denard Robertson didn't play quarterback in the NFL, and it was what you said. What I later found out about Johnny Manziel, he didn't do any film study. I can't believe he got that far without doing it, but so did Johnny Manziel. He won a Heisman without doing film study.
Well, Denard would do some film study. He didn't completely, but he just wasn't a guy because he was a kinesthetic learner. He could only do it for so long. Peyton, you talk about Peyton could sit in that room for 4 hours and not blink an eye and ask for more, right? He was built for it. Well, Denard has to go do something. He got to move. He's got to move. Like it says, like Elvis.
It sounds like me.
I can't just do it like
on the treadmill.
Yeah, exactly. So when you had him in film sessions, he'd watch, but if you shut those lights off and you waited too long, he'd fall asleep. I mean, I'd be slapping on the back of his head. But what you learn to do with guys like that is don't do that. Get him out and walkthroughs and things where he's got to stay active, because that's just the way he learns. If you told him, Denard, watch this film on his own, he'd watch it. He would do it. But he would do it at his own pace and as long as he could last. You know what I mean? He watched the same. It may take him the same film. May take him 4 days to watch. He'll watch it. He didn't deny it because he was very, very into football. But he just wasn't a sit in the classroom, turn out the lights, and watch a video type guy.
Just didn't have that kind of patience. Okay, you know what? I don't know how Johnny Manziel did what he did. Apparently, he didn't do. He just had a lot of raw talent. Now, let me ask you this: you said you follow every single play of Michigan. I was for certain after beating Ohio State the way they did. that they would handle TCU. In your opinion, what happened in the TCU game?
Well, the quarterback grew up the hard way with 2 interceptions for touchdowns, threw a square out off time, and then stared down a slant, and guy jumped in the middle of it. And the two young quarterback moves that happened in a bad game. Like, you like to do that earlier in the season, get that into your system.
Yeah.
And now that was one thing. But that's 14 points and lost 2 possessions, right? I mean, that's a big deal. When you lose 14 points and then 2 possessions, that's painful in a game like that. But it wasn't all his fault because he did some stuff now. If you watched, I had no trouble splicing together a highlight tape for that game for that quarterback because for those 2 bad ones, he made a bunch of nice plays, and he's going to be, I think, a great player before it's all said and done. But there were other issues too. The inability to block the 3-3 defense. They had several run-throughs where they got their heads buried and their feet get caught up and
that is different. It is different. Yeah,
it's different. That happened a couple of times and cost them some tackles for loss, which was painful. That was a factor too. And then defensively, they gave up some big plays that I would have never thought that they would give up. I mean, there were some atypical things, but let's be real now. TCU wasn't bad. TCU was a much better team than I think they got credit for. I'm not sure that same result if they played 10 times. I don't think TCU could win half of them. I think Michigan would probably beat them, but they had to learn one game the hard way. And I could be wrong on that because TCU was talented, but I really felt man for man Michigan had a little better team. But they did what they did in that night, and you got to give TCU credit.
Did they get pass happy, Michigan?
Well, once the game got a little bit out of hand, they got behind a little bit. They threw more than they ever did. They're winning last year now. I'm going to talk about last year.
Of course.
This could be different, okay? Their winning number was about 27 to 28 throws a game. They don't want to throw more than that because their run game was so good. But the problem, Robert, is they lost Blake Corum. Now, that didn't bug them so much early because Donovan Edwards ran all over Purdue in the championship game. But as you up the ante and you get into those top 4 teams, now you need your best players, okay? And Blake wasn't in there. Donovan wasn't rolling like he was rolling the last couple weeks because he killed Ohio State too. He wasn't rolling like he was rolling the last couple of weeks. And now, where are you going to get your first downs? Well, next guy is J.J. McCarthy. He can throw it. He can run it. He can do some stuff.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is good, but now that 26, 27 number starts going up to 32. So did they get past it? Maybe they did. I don't know that they threw 100, I don't even remember how many passes they threw in a game. But it was more than they had been throwing. So hence they put more pressure on the quarterback to perform. They were losing during the course of the game, and the pressure compounded, and that was the result. I mean, I think so. To answer the question, a little bit, but I don't think it was a passing circus, but it certainly was more than they were accustomed to.
Yeah. And so they beat Ohio State twice, and I didn't think 21 points. That was crazy. Is Ryan Day in trouble if they lose again at Ohio State? I'm sure they're going to be underdogs, not less pending injury, right? Ohio State. Now, is he in trouble after losing 3 straight?
Yeah, you lose 3 straight games to Michigan.
To Michigan.
They won how many years? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It won't matter what the other games are. He will take a lot of heat if they don't beat Michigan. That game is, it's like Auburn, Alabama. 3 years in a row. And here's the problem with it too: is they have lost with a physical nature. Okay, Michigan has pounded on Ohio State. Their run game has been very effective, and Ohio State doesn't want to believe that they can let teams do that to them. They don't, So it's not just that they're losing; that's bad, but it's how they're losing has something to do with it too.
Yeah. Is it because they're just throwing the ball too much? They've got these really good wide receivers. They're not as physical on the other end. You think?
A lot of people think that. Now, I don't know. I don't know if that's totally
maybe it's overstated.
Well, when I did an analysis of the Ohio State defense after that game.
Okay.
Because I wanted to know, and crunching some numbers and such. And Ohio State in that game got away from some of the things that they do. They had become very blitz happy playing zero on the back end, zero coverage on the
wow.
back end. And they had Michigan had 3 big plays, run or pass, that resulted in 3 touchdowns because of the high-risk nature of Ohio State. Now, they're not afraid to blitz, but they were doing more zero coverage than I had, because I went back and looked at the other games to see, compare how was it different from what they've been doing, and it was different. So they were selling out a little bit more, and you know how that is. I mean, living by the sword can kill you.
By, die by.
Yeah, so I thought that had something to do with it. I think that the indiscriminate pressures at times hurt them, you know.
So you're Michigan, you're covering them. What do you think about the idea of Oregon and USC, this conference? I love it, but I know you're a traditionalist.
Yeah,
what's your thoughts on this, man?
That messes me all up. I can't figure that out.
I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah. Well, see, okay, now you got to understand. Yeah, I coach at Michigan. I coach at Auburn, but I grew up a Stanford Cal fan. I like Stanford.
Yeah.
Stanford
You're from California.
Yeah, I'm from California, and I watched Jim Plunkett play in college. I mean, I'm old. And then, I mean, I watched. So those teams, I would get up every year on New Year's Day and watch the Cotton Bowl, which would always seem to run into this Rose Bowl. They don't do this anymore, but the Rose Bowl, I think, started at 2:00 back on the West Coast. And I would watch Michigan play Stanford, and then the next year Ohio State plays Stanford, or maybe it was reversed or whatever. But I would always pull for the Pac-8 team at the time, and then to become Pac-12 team. And I just my territorial loyalty was huge. I would have never imagined coaching in Michigan, and God knows Alabama might as well have been Botswana I didn't know the difference, you know. So I was a West Coast kind of guy. So I just, the UCLA, Oregon, and the Big Ten, it doesn't equate.
You coached at both schools. I figured you would love it, you know, in a sense as a fan, no?
Oh, no. That West Coast playing the West Coast, you know, West Coast territory. East Coast and the East Coast. Hey, I tell you, I'm such a dinosaur. I like the Southwest Conference. What the hell was wrong with that? I thought that was perfect. All the teams were located perfectly. Southeast Conference, all the teams were located perfectly. You know, the
sound like my dad, man. He likes that old school.
Yeah, I like that. I do, but and it's always money that's a factor. I don't know all the logistics, but it's always something to do with money. People want to get into a conference, so now the Big Ten they can't even count anymore. The Big Ten was for a long time it was 11 teams. Then it was 14 teams. Now I don't even know how many's in it, but sure as hell like the Big Ten.
I'm really excited about it. I can't. Plus, you got Oklahoma and Texas going to play.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. The whole thing is
they're going to be in the SEC. My bad.
Yeah, no, but that's the same type of deal, right? I mean, they're playing in places that they haven't played before, but they're a little closer to the Southeast Conference,
right?
But I think part of it's kind of cool because you're really getting some super conferences. You know, good teams playing some good teams, and that part of it's good. It's just, doggone it, I wish there was still some territorial loyalty that went with it, but I guess that's yesterday's news.
Yeah. Do you have an idea? I think it's wide open this year as far as like championship hunt. Do you have an idea of who's going to be in the Final Four this year?
Well, if Michigan isn't, it's because someone got hurt. They got the whole team back. The offense is basically intact. They've always been able to rebuild well defensively. They're going to be in the hunt. Here's a crazy notion: Alabama will be in there somewhere. Okay,
they will. Okay, you know, Are you surprised that they're ranked 4?
Not really. I think it's more because of the teams ahead of them than them. You know what I mean? Georgia's done so well lately, and Kirby's done a fabulous job at recruiting. So they're going to assume they're going to fill those holes. You know. So, I mean, they're the incumbents. They deserve to be at the top. I think that's good. And so I think them and Ohio State is Ohio State. But, you know, the one thing is Georgia's got to replace a quarterback, right?
Yes.
Ohio State's got to replace a quarterback, right?
Yep.
And who do we say the other one was? Alabama's got to replace a quarterback.
Yes, so and they still don't know who their quarterback is.
Yeah. So with that always comes growing pains somewhere. Now, if you got a great team and you can run the football, play good defense, you give him time to come around a little bit, you know? And that's kind of the way Alabama is. They'll find the right guy because they just always do. I don't know much about Georgia's quarterback situation, but I got to believe they're in the same or a similar situation where they can buy a little time to get the guy ready. But Michigan's sitting pretty. This kid has played a whole year. He's got first-round draft pick type talent, okay? He's got both his running backs back. He's got all his receivers pretty much back. Their question, I think, is going to be how quickly they can develop some of their new people on defense, but they have a very good nucleus of defensive players coming back. So if they're not in it, I just see this as their best chance. Without question.
And Jim Harbaugh said they're going to break the record. They're going to have more than 15 drafted. Do you think that's true? You think he's exaggerating?
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they didn't. Yeah, they've done a good job of recruiting. And you start winning, they want to come there, and they want to come there anyway. I mean, it's a good school to start with. So,
do you feel like he's putting a target on them, saying all that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that stuff overstated?
It probably is. I'll say this. I was always myself very, very had guarded optimism when I assessed the team. But they want to believe that they're the best in the country, and he's that kind of guy anyway, So
is this the best offensive line? I've been reading that they have a really good offensive line.
Oh, I think they're good. They are good. They're good up front. They just didn't. Now they lost the center.
Okay.
Olu is gone, but that aside, boy, they got Keegan and Zenter back. They picked up a tackle from Arizona State, a center from Stanford in the transfer portal. They got a tight end from Indiana who does the same stuff that Harbaugh likes to do. If I had one thing I said, I think that they need to still show they're good. They got a dynamic receiver. They got good ones. Yeah, they got good ones. They got darn.
They don't have a Marvin Harrison Jr. type.
No. That's the one thing.
Man, he's great, ain't he?
Oh, gee, Christmas, and they don't. They
top 5 pick probably next year.
Yeah,
everything I read. Something you mentioned, the transfer portal. Is this what is leveling out Nick Saban's team? Because Nick Saban and this Alabama team, they're either number 1 or number 2 in recruiting as far as like the rankings. And usually that says national championship. But this transfer portal, look, Tennessee. I'm down in Tennessee. They beat Alabama last year. They've been recruiting like 10th, 15th, 17th. But Tennessee had a guy, Hendon Hooker's 25 years old.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Stetson Bennett was 25 for Georgia. Max Duggan, Pickles mentioned him, Max Duggan.
Yeah.
You think he might do something?
Oh, yeah. I think so. I think he's proven. I mean, you got to say that. He's proven. He was effective. So, I mean, the transfer portal gives you an opportunity to fill gaps quickly without taking junior college players. You know what I mean? So you got guys that are proven. They're proven guys. They played at their schools they were at. You could get great video on them. I looked at all the transfers at Michigan, the kid from Arizona State, all these kids I mentioned.
Yeah.
I looked at, evaluated, and we did a whole show on them. So they're guys that they're not guesses, Robert. They're guys, where.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee, he's getting a lot of ink. Joe Milton.
Yeah.
He's lost a lot of weight, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they know about Joe Milton, right? I mean, Joe played it. He's got enough reps, enough snaps at Michigan where you can
he's about 24, 25, coach.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and COVID set it back too.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about COVID,
for that year. So there's a lot of reasons some of them are older, but that's what the transfer portal's done. It has supplemented some JC recruiting. Now, Michigan doesn't take JC kids anyway, but a lot of teams do. So it's helped in that regard, and it's probably taken away from a lot of JC recruiting. Now that I think, I don't know that. I don't have any numbers, but my knee-jerk reaction is, why would you take a JC kid when you can get a transfer portal kid that maybe he'll play 3 years, and I've already got video on him playing in a Big Ten game, You would love this, wouldn't you? Because you're good with quarterbacks. Yeah, no, it's if you got a hole, you can fill it fast now. That's the difference, is you can fill it fast now, where before it was more of a dice roll, whether taking a JC kid or having to play a young freshman that may not be ready yet. There's just so many things where, take Russell Wilson from Wisconsin or from North Carolina State, and he can play. You know what I mean? He's already proven he can play. And he was better than the player and Joe Burrow was from Ohio State. I know. I know. And so was Justin Fields, was from where?
Georgia.
Georgia.
And Jake Fromm, it's weird that the guys they beat out turned out to be Fields was a better player than Fromm. And I forgot who Ohio State had over Joe Burrow. It may have been Haskins or somebody, but I can't remember.
I can't either, but you're probably right. Somebody like that. Or
yeah.
I can't remember what the timetable, but yeah, I mean, these quarterbacks particularly, it's at every position, but quarterbacks, they seat themselves. They say, okay, we're going to battle it out in camp, and if I don't make it, bam, I'm out now. Where before it was kind of, I'll sit back and wait for my opportunity and blah, blah. That just
like
simply
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right?
And guys like Fields, guys like Bro. See, here's the deal with quarterbacks is you don't hit them. You know what I mean? You get it when you evaluate them. Most guys don't make the quarterback live. I was always against that. I always thought you had to have a time when you made him on. And you don't find out some of the things he can do in a game. So you pick the guy that's the better passer all the time because he's better in 7-on-7. He's better throwing the team periods. But the guy in the game, the one that can create that play that breaks up the game, may not be quite as good a passer guy, but the reality of it, he might be a better quarterback, particularly in college, because mobility is such a huge factor in college because of the zone reading and all that. It's just so much more prominent.
You can't simulate that in practice. It's just too hard to simulate it.
No, because you got to no, not like games. I mean, because in a game, they're bearing down on you. They're going to hit you. Is he going to stand in the pocket, make the throw? Can he bail out of the pocket, create a little extra time to make a throw? And unless the guy's actually going to hit him and bring him down and intimidate him and do all the things you're doing, you don't really know. So you're making some. That's why I was always when some head coaches would go for it, some of them would, but I'd always lobby. I said, let's make him live. He goes, no. If we lose him, I go, yeah, no.
Everybody's got a plan, so they get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson.
Right. That's exactly right. Everybody's got a plan, so they get punched, and the quarterbacks get punched in the mouth a bunch.
Wow. Now, Al Borges, everybody. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I hope you can come on maybe one day during the season.
Sure.
I'm doing the show 5 days a week now. Chad asked this Michigan. I think you're who's it? McCarthy. He's do you think McCaffrey, is that his name, McCaffrey, the quarterback? Will he get a shot at the end of the NFL?
JJ McCarthy?
Yeah, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's gonna be a high pick. He's a really talented kid.
Yeah.
Question was, does Michigan think they'd rather have Milton this year? And I promise you that the answer to that is no.
Because so McCartney's still a better okay.
They're convinced that he is the end. I mean, they took out their starting quarterback, Robert, last year that had won 12 games from the year before. And they replaced him. They had both quarterbacks play a game, and then McCarthy to be the starter the rest of the year. And he transferred to Iowa.
Yeah.
The starting quarterback transferred to Iowa. So, they're 100% in the boat with J.J. McCarthy, no question.
Do you think Michigan will win the national championship this year?
Oh, I think they'll be in the game. I think
they'll be in it. You're not sure if they'll win it.
And if I had to pick, I'd pick them because of the quarterback. And the other guys having to replace a quarterback and them not having to replace. I would pick them. I did. That's first year I'd said that. Now but they are. The stage is set for them to win that game.
Now, Brian Kelly and LSU, they've got Jalen Daniels.
Oh yeah, no, they're back. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. They won't be.
That may be who they're playing, Coach. Yeah. LSU.
Yeah, no, it ain't going to be easy. But you don't win a game on paper, but on paper, they should be a top pick. They just with the players they got returning and the experience they have. I think the only question with them is replacing their kickers because they had phenomenal kickers.
Mm-hmm.
In
a close game, you never know.
You never know. That's right.
Yeah. Well, Pickle says, "Bravo, Coach. Take the head coaching job at Michigan. If Jim Harbaugh leaves, would you take it if offered?"
No. I'm retired.
Are you going to the Auburn game this year with your son?
I haven't made my mind up yet, but there's a possibility. Still pending.
Well, you got Hugh Freeze now.
Hugh Freeze. He'll do a good job there too. He's a good offensive coach. I think he'll do a nice job of developing. And Peyton Thorne, who played at Michigan State, I've seen a lot of, is a good, solid quarterback. And that's I think what Auburn's been missing.
Wow, I didn't know who they had the quarterback. He said he's going to be good, huh?
He's the starter, yeah. But Peyton did a nice job. When he had a run game and a solid defense, he was really good. And wasn't as good last year because he had neither. But he is he'll give them what they haven't had, and that's a reliable, accurate quarterback.
Wow. Man, you're the gift that keeps on giving, Coach.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and everybody make sure and order the Nye of the Tiger by Al Borges. It's a great decoration, too, by the way. You have this on a coffee table and you got company. What a conversation starter, you know?
I appreciate it.
Chad says thanks. Thanks, Coach, and hopefully bring you back sooner than later.
You betcha. We'll do it.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, Robert.
See you, buddy. All right, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place here on SportsScope. Going to go over some gambling odds. Got a really good show planned tomorrow, so make sure and tune in. Have a good night, everybody. Great show tonight.